Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the incredible claims of Colonel Philip J. Corso and his book, The Day After Roswell. Now, this is a story that claims the Pentagon has been sitting on a secret that completely changes modern history. It's a wild ride, so let's get into it.
So, picture this. It's 1961. You're a high-ranking Army colonel, and on your first day at a new job, your boss says this to you. Maybe you should do a little research on the Roswell file. Now, according to Corso, this wasn't just some friendly advice. It was the key to a locked file cabinet, and a mission that would change everything.
And here's our guy, Lieutenant Colonel Philip Corso. He's at the Pentagon's Foreign Technology Desk, and he's just been handed a secret. But it's not in some briefing room. Nope. It's waiting for him, locked away, with just that one strange instruction from his boss, General Trudeau.
So, you have to wonder, what on earth was in that cabinet? To get the answer, we actually have to go back in time 14 years, to a crash in the New Mexico desert, an incident that would become, the most famous UFO story ever.
Okay, so our story really kicks off in the dead of night, Roswell, New Mexico. A recovery convoy from the 509th Bomb Group shows up to this really bizarre crash site. They seal it off immediately, and the whole scene is just lit up by these harsh military floodlights. One of the soldiers there, a guy named Steve Arnold, he described the craft as, just unlike anything he'd ever seen. And look, this is the guy who'd seen plane crashes during the war. He knew what they looked like. But this was different. The thing wasn't shattered, it was mostly in one piece. And this is where it gets really, really weird. In the glare of those searchlights, Arnold sees this small, dark craft with a big split down the side. But it's what's on the ground nearby that was just shocking. 4 or 5 small, gray figures. And then he hears someone shout, "Hey, this one's alive." And it wasn't just soldiers. A local firefighter, Dan Dwyer, he got a really close look at one of the beings on a stretcher. He said it had this oversized, kind of balloon-shaped head, huge dark eyes, and a body no bigger than a kid's. And he said it looked right at him, like it knew it was dying. Just imagine that. Right after that, the military response was just immediate and total. They aggressively debriefed all the civilian contractors and first responders. One officer even told a guy named Roy Danzer, straight up, "We'll know if you talk, and you will simply disappear." All right, let's fast forward again. 14 years later, Colonel Corso is back in his new office at the Pentagon, and he's about to finally open that secret file cabinet. So he opens it up, and it's not full of documents. It's full of actual artifacts from the crash. He called it his nut file. Inside, there's this super strong fabric, a strange headband with sensors, and maybe the most fascinating thing of all, these little gray wafers that look like crackers etched with microscopic circuits. So, General Trudeau's mission for him was crystal clear. His job wasn't just to store this stuff. It was to figure out what it was and what it could do. And the plan was brilliant, really. They were going to secretly seed this technology into American industry using existing defense contracts as a cover. That way nobody, not even the companies developing it, would know where it really came from. So the big question is, what did this crazy reverse engineering program actually produce? Well, according to Corso, the results were literally world-changing. He claims these weird artifacts were the seeds for some of the biggest technological leaps of the entire 20th century. And this right here, this is the core of Corso's entire claim. He's saying those weird filaments that could bend light, that led to fiber optics. Those little etched gray wafers, that was the blueprint for integrated circuits, the microchip. That super strong fabric became Kevlar. A viewing device they found became night vision. And even the skin of the craft, that helped develop stealth technology. So Corso basically became this covert tech courier. He talks about literally hand-carrying these artifacts, or at least sketches of them, to top scientists and huge defense contractors like DuPont and Monsanto. He would just quietly slip these revolutionary ideas into existing, totally legitimate research projects. But why? Why all this secrecy? Why this whole elaborate camouflage? Well, according to Corso's story, the goal wasn't just to get one up on the Soviets. It was something much, much bigger. So Corso's argument is that while the entire world was watching the Cold War with the Soviet Union, there was another secret Cold War being fought in the shadows. And the enemy wasn't communism. It was the extraterrestrials themselves.
Their intentions were a mystery, so they were assumed to be hostile. The goal was to get on their level, technologically speaking, to defend the whole planet.
He claims this secret war all came to a head with President Reagan's Strategic Defense Initiative, Star Wars. Publicly, it was all about shooting down Soviet missiles. But Corso says its real purpose was to give humanity a weapon system up in orbit that could actually defend the planet against the visitors' ships.
And at the heart of this whole defensive strategy was the particle beam weapon. Corso believed this technology could disable a target almost instantly. It was the one thing that could level the playing field, neutralizing the aliens' technological advantage for good. Basically, a high-tech lightning bolt in space. So we're left with this really provocative thought, right? Corso's story completely reframes modern history. It suggests that our greatest technological leaps, everything from the microchip to stealth fighters, weren't just a product of human genius, but were actually the spoils of a secret cosmic conflict. A conflict that to this day is officially denied.